Hi guys, welcome to my video. I'm not a professional YouTuber, as you will probably tell later on. I've made this video solely because I've had a problem on my PlayStation 4 and FIFA, which has driven me to destruction, or on the verge of destruction, of my PlayStation over the past few weeks. And the problem is kind of a lagging input latency issue, which was very, very difficult to track down, whether it was the PlayStation or the television. And I've gone through various, I've read forums on the internet. There seems to be a few people suffering with this, especially on FIFA, where it's almost like a slowdown and like a lag, and the frame rate drops ridiculously, probably to like, it looks like 8 to 10 frames a second. It's awful sort of frame rate drop, and then goes back to normal. It particularly happens after the sort of the full video motion scenes in FIFA, and it's happening on other games as well. I'm a big racing sim racing fan on PlayStation, and Project Cars was a complete mess. You go around certain corners and it would be really stuttering and same frame rate issues, and then it would return to normal on other parts of the track. So it was definitely an issue on the PlayStation. I've got the original PlayStation Fat, the launch PlayStation, but I've read on the forums that it was happening on the PlayStation Pro and the PlayStation Slim as well. So it's happening on all PlayStations. This has taken me a couple of weeks to find out. There's various different ways you can reduce input lag. Some people blame the hard drive, so I replaced the hard drive on the PlayStation. I did it on the normal things before that. You can rebuild your game database. There are various different videos on YouTube that show you how to do that. I still had the same issue, and eventually I have solved the issue, and let's get it. I'll show you. It's a really simple fix, and I'll show you what I did. There's so many different combinations that you can set up between the television and the PlayStation, but let's go in and I'll show you a couple of things. So if we go into sound and screen in settings, and you've got your video output settings, this is where it all happens. Obviously you've got the screensaver. The most important thing to do is, once you've chosen which format you're going to play on your television, no matter what sort of maker television you're playing on, when you've chosen, is to make sure you set your area display correctly. So the area display is, you can see the sort of the four corners, the white sort of markers in the corners of the TV. And it's important that you set those correctly. If you don't, you're missing some of your picture, but your TV is also then fighting the screen. It's kind of zooming in, and this is where it's causing a lot of the problems. So it's really, really important that you set that correctly. Only once you've set your actual picture format on your television. So we'll go to video output settings. People have tried all different settings to try and eliminate this input latency and this lag that people are getting. So resolution is obviously, I'm on a PlayStation Fat, so I've not got 4K, even though the TV's 4K. So I've got that on automatic. It's fine. It's running in 1080p, which is high definition. That's fine. It's automatic. Everything's fine. Now, your RGB range. Now, a lot of people think that this is, everyone puts it on full automatically, but it depends on your TV. Limited and full. RGB range is basically just your colours and how many colours the PlayStation is producing and running in. So full will give you more colours within that range. If your TV is not talking correctly with the PlayStation, it will sometimes, the HDMI socket in your TV will not sort of send the correct information to your TV from the PlayStation. and so that's why you can adjust it manually. So you can either have limited or full. Guys, try these out depending on your own TV. Obviously I've got mine on full because it works better on full. It's fine, but if it doesn't, don't be afraid to switch that. Limited sounds limited, like you're going to limit the effects, but limited will sometimes make the picture run smoother depending on your TV. So if your TV can't handle a full RGB range, it's mainly older TVs, don't be afraid to switch that to limited. It will give you a much better picture. FIFA's a great game to test it with because you can see the smoothness of it. HDR, I bought this television specifically for HDR, which is sort of a greater dynamic range for colour, and it gives you greater sort of contrasts, bright whites and deeper blacks. I tell you, after I've been playing with it, I'm not really that sold on it. I think the HDR on the Philips range, the PUS range of Philips TVs down there, as the Philips badge, I'm not really sold on it, and I think it produces an unbalanced level of colour. I think the reds are too bright compared to the rest of the other colours, so I've switched it off. I'm not sold on it. The deep colour output again is to do with your HDR, and it will just give you a greater dynamic range of colour. We can click on the video output information, and there we go. So it's in 1920 by 1080 hertz and in 60 hertz, which is really important because the 60 hertz is what my TV is. And the colour format is RGB, and it's telling me that HDR is supported on this TV, but I've turned it off because I'm just not that impressed. So when we do that, we'll come out of that, and what I'm going to do now is show you the most important thing, where it was all going wrong. The sort of graphical side of the game, I'm not sure, but anyway. So if we go to picture style, when you get your brand new Philips TV, the first thing it tells you to do is, if you're playing on a console or a computer, switch it to game mode. There we go. You see me switching through this. We've got natural, standard, movie, game. There we can see game mode. Now what game mode does is, if we go then into picture settings, it switches everything off. So I've probably adjusted a few of these settings myself here, but there we go. In expert settings, it's just a range of presets, and it switches everything off, as you can see. So we've got contrast mode off, dynamic contrast off. Basically, these are all the extra gimmicks and rubbish that modern TVs install to improve old films, and if you're watching DVD players and stuff, and give you a smoother experience. But what it does is it creates lag. Now lag is awful, obviously, for a gamer. You don't want lag. Lag is where you press a button on your PlayStation controller, and then a second later it's changing, you know, it's happening on the screen. It's creating a lag effect. So what Philips did is create this gaming mode that kind of reduces input lag, or input latency, I should say. So, you know, it's all preset. It's been organised by the professionals and designed by the professionals, this gaming mode. And this is the reason I bought the television in the first place. So let's just go, not picture settings, but if we go to picture style, we're on game. And basically what was happening, the game plays awful. It's just this laggy mess that sort of freezes and does everything. So I want you to see, let's zoom in on Ronaldo, on his face. Now you can see the sort of blotchiness of his skin there. So we're on game, and it's kind of blotchy. So what I want to do now is we're going to change game, and we're going to put it on monitor. Now, monitor, we're only watching it through my phone, remember, so my phone's camera, so you can't appreciate. Straight away, it's like night and day. If we look at Ronaldo's beautiful face. Now, if we go to settings, we've got that now. I've got this on monitor. It's reduced the amount of stuff I can do. If we go to, look at that. So if we go back to expert settings, it's switched everything off. It doesn't give me a choice now. Everything is kind of preset. The only thing I can really adjust is contrast, which is nice. I'm in a dark room, so we've got the contrast quite low. But basically, let's go back. So we've got it on monitor, and already I can see that the difference is massive. It's such a better picture. Let's zoom in on his face, and it's just so much smoother. So before he almost looked like he got stubble. But when you zoom in on monitor, he hasn't. So I'm automatically thinking, well, monitor mode obviously increases the latency. Wrong. It actually reduces the latency even more. And what it does is solve this huge problem that people are suffering on FIFA, especially with lag. Now, it only seems to be affecting some games. I've been playing Gran Turismo in gaming mode on the Phillips TV, and it's been perfect, absolutely brilliant, not a problem at all. But then when you play FIFA, it's laggy, it's stuttering, it's stammering, and it's almost unplayable. So we've switched that to monitor. There we go, we're on monitor mode. I've already preset. Now, once you've changed that, make sure you go back and set your settings up within your PlayStation. So it's the moment of truth. So here we are. This is the PlayStation 4 fat version, original launch version, on the Phillips PUS range of TVs. This is the 43-inch Ambilight version. This is the one that everybody's saying is really laggy. FIFA's unplayable. Now, the lag usually happens after the full motion section. So if you get a corner, if somebody scores a goal, you get the full. I'm going to try and cause a corner here. So let's go down into here. This is where the lag happens. There's Klopp. So we've got the full motion screen. So here we go. I'm trying to adjust that so you can see it a little bit better. So again, that's full motion. Then it switches back to the game, the actual sort of direct. And here's where the players would be slow. But look, I'm moving around. I've got no input lag. What I'm going to try and do now is try and kick a long ball up. There we go. Look how smooth that is. Before, again, it was really jerky as it was moving across the screen. So let's do a big goal kick. So I've got full motion video there again. The full motion cutscene. The cutscene is the word I'm looking for. The cutscene. Then it switches back. This is where the lag would come in. Another corner. Good tackle. And that is really silky smooth. I've got no input lag at all. Let's belt that upfield. Look at that. Look how smooth that's scrolling up the pitch. It's just like night and day. I was on the verge of going out and buying a new PlayStation Pro because I thought I got a fault. I looked into it, as I say, and it was telling me that it was either a faulty motherboard or a GPU, CPU problem on the PlayStation. And it was sort of saying, your PlayStation's dying. I took the PlayStation to pieces, bless it, and I cleaned the fans. I thought it was an overheating problem. It wasn't. It was nothing like that. It's basically all on this one issue, and the issue is that Phillips preset picture style gaming mode is a load of rubbish, and it doesn't do what it says it does. The input latency on it isn't very good in gaming mode. It still has the software, whatever the software creates, it still creates this lag, which is really poor, and it's like the PlayStation almost is fighting it. It just doesn't work. But if you go to monitor, it switches everything off. Obviously, what you can't adjust the amount of colour. Then you've got your preset colour, but I mean, some people will probably think it's washed out, but for me, I think it's more natural. I think it's naturally balanced. It's a perfect picture for me, and more importantly, the frame rate and the lag has gone completely. It's almost like a PC gaming experience, as opposed to a very poor 1990s console experience with the awful frame rate that I was experiencing before. So guys, if you've got that input lag problem, that's how I solved it. Simple as that. But I went the long way around, changing the hard drive, having to reinstall all my games. I've done everything. And it was as simple as switching the picture style to monitor. Like I say, because the problem wasn't happening on all games, unfortunately I didn't discover what the problem was quick. I thought it was a console issue or a hard drive issue, rather than something as simple as the actual sort of Phillips preset not doing what it says it does. So avoid that Phillips game setting. Avoid it like the plague. It's rubbish. Take care guys, happy gaming.